Oil and gas companies must significantly reduce their emissions in just 2 years.
Governor Jared Polis sent the directive today and says Colorado is the first state in the country to create a comprehensive nitrogen oxides reduction program. Katie Eastman spoke with him this afternoon and joins us live with what he had to say. Katie.
Yeah, Kim and Alex, this directive means that oil and gas companies will have to reduce their nitrogen oxides emissions by 30% in 2 years and 50% by 2030. The governor's office says this kind of immediate cut will significantly improve air quality. Governor Polis said the technology to do this, it already exists, and some companies are using it. The directive will apply to oil extraction, and it will mean things like more electric drilling and replacing diesel engines and generators with electric. Governor Polis says this will also help Colorado get away from sanctions for not meeting Clean Air Act standards.
One of those penalties that is being talked about is could potentially raise the cost of gas at the pump. We want to avoid that. We think better ways to get there: make drilling cleaner, which we're doing, incentivize EVs. We rolled out a package to reduce the cost of EVs, $5,000 tax credit for EVs, making them more affordable. E-bikes, also looking at things like lawn blowers, leaf blowers, all of those kinds of technology, which also use very inefficient engines, and how can we save people money, be more convenient with moving that to electric.
In a statement, the president of the Colorado Oil and Gas Association, Dan Haley, said, "We've cut our emissions in half since 2013, with more reductions on the way as technology improves. However, the NOx targets, as outlined by the governor, are very ambitious and will be a challenge to achieve." KUSA is also concerned about legislation that has created a backlog of drilling permits. Governor Polis said part of today's announcement will mean that companies who are going above and beyond when it comes to cutting emissions could get faster approval of those drilling permits. Kim and Alex?
It's aggressive, and as you can tell from oil and gas, there are already a little bit of pushback on how we can achieve it.
Yep, there is.
Okay, thanks, Katie.
Colorado started its day with snow and cold, and yes, the cold is still here, but at least the snow is done for the most part. This is a look at downtown Denver taken just after 9 this morning. The stuff that came down did cause some slushy driving and a bit of ice in certain places. Here's a live look at what the exact same area looks like now. It has warmed up a little bit. You see the gray skies, cloud cover. Temperatures are going to fall into the 20s again overnight. So let's check in with Lauren, tracking it all for us.
Yesterday is but a distant memory.
I know, can you believe it's like only in Colorado, 70 to that's my official description. You're welcome.
That's dead on.
But really, that's what happened. We saw those temperatures in the low 70s yesterday, and that actually made the ground warm enough to where it was hard for some of the initial snowfall to really stick to the ground because it was just too warm. And there was also rain out there, so it took us a little while to start to build up that snow. But some areas reporting quite a bit of snow. Mount Crested Butte reported 11 inches. We saw 10 in Loveland Pass and Dillon. Winter Park reporting 8 inches of snow. Breckenridge saw 6 inches. Monarch Pass got 5 inches. Nederland just over 2. We saw almost an inch and a half in Westminster and Monument. Arvada reporting almost an inch of snowfall. So some areas got quite a bit, and as expected, the higher totals were to the west and south. Denver just getting that quick trace amount of snow, maybe isolated 1 to 2 inches across the Denver metro area. Most of that has made its way further south, though. We do still have some areas around Denver and around the Front Range seeing those lingering snow showers, mostly in the foothills and the Palmer Divide areas, but further south is where we're going to continue to watch for the heavier stuff. And that's why we still have these winter weather alerts in effect through the rest of the night and in some areas through early tomorrow. So we're going to continue to watch for several inches to maybe up to a foot of snow further south as we go into the overnight hours. For the rest of us, cloud cover will start to move on out, but chilly temperatures stick around. We'll see lows near 16 degrees tonight in Denver. The weekend, not much warmer. I'll have those details just ahead.
All right, not a whole lot to look forward to, but we'll check in with you in just a bit, Lauren. Thank you.
3 people at a Louisville senior home are accused of falsely reporting a domestic violence incident. This is according to court documents. Police visited the Balfour Cherrywood Village facility in mid-January, and those records say employees Carl Roberts and Joshua Merrill reported 2 separate incidents in which they say a resident hit his wife. The resident's wife is in memory care, has no recollection of the incident. Police arrested the elderly man, and 2 weeks later, when police showed backed up with a warrant for surveillance video, the head administrator, Deonso Musqueda, admitted, according to documents, that both employees had lied and there was no video of the incident. She told police she did not tell them sooner because her VP of operations told her not to.
Anyone who's running a facility such as this has an absolute duty to only be truthful to the police. And once that supervisor learned that it was not a truthful account of what happened, which was nothing, there really is no justification for delaying and reporting it to police.
Balfour is also facing a civil suit for a separate incident in which a resident died at another facility in Louisville 1 year ago. At 5, we'll share what both cases have in common.
New at 4, new subpoenas for dozens of MarALago staff. CNN reports those employees have been called to testify to the federal grand jury investigating former President Trump's handling of classified documents. The former president's communications aide, Margot Martin, appeared before the grand jury in Washington, D.C. today. She worked in the White House and then moved to Florida to continue working for Trump. Sources tell CNN some of the staffers subpoenaed include a housekeeper and wait staff. The Justice Department started investigating the potential mishandling of classified records after an FBI search recovered more than 100 documents last summer. The former president's legal team has since turned over more classified material.
7 sheriff's deputies in Virginia are facing a second-degree murder charge and charges for the death of a black man.
Prosecutors say Irvo Otieno was smothered while in custody. The attorneys for Otieno's family say he was experiencing a mental health crisis on March 3rd, and a neighbor interpreted that as problematic, and that person called police. Police officers put Otieno in emergency custody. Officers took Otieno from a hospital to jail after they say he became, quote, physically assaultive. Days later, as Otieno was being transferred to a state-run mental facility, he became combative. That's according to police. Deputies physically restrained him, and he died.
He was held down on the ground, prone on the ground, for 12 minutes by all 7 of our defendants charged here, including this one. So much so that they smothered him, and they smothered him to death.
Today, his family watched surveillance videos showing how he died.
I do not wish this on anyone else. I do not wish this on anyone's child or any parent or anyone else. We can do better.
We can do better.
That's well said. For now, I'm asking for justice. Justice for my son.
7 deputies were initially arrested, and today 3 Central State hospital employees were arrested. They are all charged with second-degree murder. While the autopsy has yet to be made public, the Dinwiddie Commonwealth's attorney charged the deputies with second-degree murder based on the available evidence.
Former University of Georgia football player Jalen Carter has reached a plea deal related to a deadly car crash that killed a teammate and a team staffer. Carter entered no contest pleas to charges of driving recklessly and racing. He was sentenced to a year probation, given a $1,000 fine and 50 hours of community service. The crash happened in January, hours after a victory parade celebrating Georgia's national championship. According to police, Carter was in a car racing against another car driven by team staff member Chandler LaCroix. They say LaCroix's SUV was traveling about 104 miles an hour when it hit 2 power poles and several trees. Another Georgia player, Devin Willock, was in LaCroix's car, and both of them were killed. Carter has been projected as a top pick in the NFL draft next month.
Inmates in Denver's jails will get their own personal tablets as a part of a partnership announced by the Denver Sheriff's Department. A company called Securus Technologies is providing those tablets to both city jails. The Sheriff's Department says they are uniquely designed for the jail environment and will let inmates communicate with friends and family. They can listen to music on these things and podcasts. They can play games. The tablets are also equipped with self-help content for issues like sobriety, family troubles, and job searching. Those in jail right now say they're hopeful this tech will help them with their reintegration when they leave custody.
At the end of the day, it's all about not coming back. You know, we all want to enter back into the community and do good, have a nice life to live, and getting ahead while you're here makes a big difference,
The tablets run on a special operating system that is controlled by the jail and limits the content available to only what's on the server run by Securus. The Denver Sheriff's Department says everybody booked at the jails will be eligible to get their own tablet depending on their behavior while in custody.